Alors, bonjour.
And welcome to the 2024-2025 annual public meeting of the National Gallery of Canada, held for the first time in New Brunswick, on Wolastoqey Nation land and in the heart of Acadia, a province whose contribution to Canada's art history is vast, proud, and diverse. My name is Bernard Doucet, Director General of the Beaverbrook Art Gallery, and it is my pleasure to host this meeting here today.
Today's hour-long, fully bilingual event will include remarks, a panel discussion, and a question and answer session. Headsets for simultaneous interpretation are available at the entrance. Online, you can click the interpretation icon at the bottom right of your screen. Sign language interpretation, both ASL and LSQ, is also offered. The Beaverbrook Art Gallery was bequeathed to the people of New Brunswick by Sir Max Aitken, the Lord Beaverbrook, in 1959 to house a significant collection of masterworks from Canada and around the world. Our galleries will be open to attendees after the public meeting, so please come and visit our globally recognized collection of some 6,000 works. Je tiens aujourd'hui à souligner que le musée reconnaît qu'il est situé sur le territoire traditionnel et non cédé des Premières Nations Wolastoqey, Malicite et Mi'kmaq. Une peinture murale de l'artiste Jordan Bennett, ici, expose de façon permanente même dans notre pavillon Harrison McCain et représente la reconnaissance du musée des terres de la Première Nation Wolastoqey. It is now my pleasure to invite Grand Chief Ron Tremblay, Wolastoq Grand Chief Morning Star Burning, to share words of welcome. Earlier this year, the Beaverbrook was proud to spotlight the story behind the creation of his Words from the Crow Clan, a newly published Wolastoqey dictionary and online resource featuring over 19,000 translated words. Grand Chief Tremblay.
Pseudwen. Could we close it call by your Elvita as a Wolastoqey? Good we in Adam the Archoya, good Ginzos, what Elwigolti, the Chibanuk, Sonesno, Kuskiasno, Latagwesno, good we Bavachi, Magmedval, Uchkobazik. Nagat Scriptunia, Nettle Willigakime, Waganal, Wolastoqey, Wabanagoel, Skidinoel, Psebadevil and Najawilligakime, and Massinwin, and Vajokamin, and Gigihin, at Lusa get go walking back way out. Squash away, Idasu. I want to translate. I don't think you get the translation from the translators for what I just said. So I wanted to welcome you to our homeland we call Wolastoqey. Our name derives from this the river on our right, your left, we call Wolastoqey, and I always joke about that. I've never met this guy named St. John, so I don't know who he is, but I know who Wolastoqey is, and she's beautiful. So, and what I said, I'd want to invite the ancestors of our peoples to come, the ancestors who dwell in the east, the south, the west, and the north, to bring their vision and their creativity and their guidance here as we gather here. And with our stories, and what I said at the beginning, there was a thought. And that's a part of our creation story. And I joked about it Friday night that it takes 3 days to tell our creation story. So we don't have 3 days. But at the beginning, there was a thought. So this thought started to create. And they brought out their paintbrush and started to create what we know today as the earth and the universe. And off in the distance after creation was a beautiful breath, a beautiful sound, a beautiful voice we call the great mystery feminine. And she brought this beautiful voice that brought life, spirit, and complete oneness to everything that was created. So in our creation story, it started off with a thought, and then later on with a breath and that song. And if you think of every work that is in this beautiful building, it started with a thought. Eventually that thought reached the hands, the minds, and the breath of that, like from that individual who created that beautiful piece of art, in either through song, through canvas, through wood. These thoughts are revealed. And I want to thank the organizers for the invitation here. And I'd like to share a song with you that was taught to me a long, long time ago. It's a welcome song. And it's always sung when we gather. And back in 1604, I always like to joke that back in 1604, this was number 1 on our hit list. So it is called Guano Day. And the late Shirley Bear, who has work here, she has beautiful work here. Once I asked her, what does Guano Day mean, Shirley? She said, what it means is that you're asking the ancestors to come and join you and to be with you, to walk with you, to guide you, and to direct you. And part of Nud, in part of that Guanud, is you're asking to Nudaha, which means to come out and to join you. And part of the song, it says Yali. Yali means to go around, to join you as you walk through this thing we call life. So this is the old number 1 hit back in 1604. So, and I brought my cute little rattle here. So. Hey, Guando de, Yali Guando de. Hey, Guando de, Yali Yoki Yohoe. Yoki Yohoe, Yali Yoki Yohoe. Hey, Guando de, Yali Guando de. Hey, Guando de, Yali Yoki Yohoe. Yoki Yohoe, Yali Yoki Yohoe. Hey, Guando de, Yali Guando de. Hey, Guando de, Yali Yoki Yohoe. Yoki Yohoe, Yali Yoki Yohoe. Hey, Guando de, Yali Guando de. Hey, Guando de, Yali Yoki Yohoe. Yoki Yohoe, Yali Yoki Yohoe. Hey, Guando de, Yali Guando de. Hey, wando de yali ya yoki yohoe, yoki yohoe yali yali ya yoki yohoe. Nidlage. And in our language, that means, let that be so, and may that be the truth. Let that be so, may that be the truth. Let that be so, and may that be the truth. The hope. And I apologize. I have a date with my wife, and if I don't go, I'll find my clothes out in the front yard. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. You might just 2 more seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, can I just ask everybody to stand up and give Grand Chief Tremblay a vigorous round of applause for sharing his knowledge and his wisdom and his welcome. And on behalf of the Beaverbrook, I'd like to thank you, Grand Chief, for your partnership and your willing to help us grow into a better institution. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm very pleased to see the National Gallery of Canada reaching out to artists and art institutions across the country. I can tell you that there are vibrant visual arts communities throughout New Brunswick. This province is proud to be home to the New Brunswick College of Craft and Design and to many public, university, and commercial galleries who join me in welcoming the National Gallery to our province today.
Aujourd'hui. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much, holds true for my professional relationship with the NGC. On a separate professional note, I'm proud to sit on the Board of Trustees of the Sobey Art Foundation. Now in its 24th year and 22nd running, the Sobey Art Award, Canada's preeminent contemporary visual arts prize, is a wonderful platform to discover our country's leading contemporary art voices. Mario Doucette, finaliste du prix pour le Nouveau-Brunswick en 2008 et nominé sur la liste longue de 2010 et des nôtres aujourd'hui. Vous l'entendrez prendre la parole un petit peu plus tard. En collaboration avec le musée, la Fondation est fière de poursuivre son objectif de promouvoir les artistes canadiens et autochtones de ce pays auprès du public national et international. And here, in my role at the Beaverbrook, I'm pleased to see that our gallery and the NGC have collaborated on a number of compelling exhibitions. Last year, our two institutions played host to the Mackenzie Art Gallery's very popular Radical Stitch, curated in-house here in New Brunswick by Emma Hashendale-Purley. A much-needed critical attention to the breadth and impact of the practice of Indigenous beading across Canada. We are also proud to loan 2 works to the NGC's highly anticipated Winter Count Embracing the Cold exhibition. And I believe, Jean-François, you will be announcing a new joint initiative shortly. Before you do that, I would like to introduce the chair of the board of the National Gallery of Canada, Monsieur Paul Genet. Paul previously served for several years on the board of the National Gallery Foundation. He is a strong advocate for the arts, as well as a champion for diversity, and most notably for the 2S LGBTQIA community across Canada. In his other life, the day job that people have to have in addition to the volunteer time that we're very grateful for them putting in, he works as Senior Vice President with Power Corporation of Canada. His background includes roles too numerous to name, but they are within government, academia, business, and across the not-for-profit sector. And I will also point out and underline, clear across Canada, not limited to one or two provinces. Paul, thank you very much for bringing your board and Jean-François to New Brunswick today for your meetings. If you could please come forward for your chair's remarks.
Good afternoon and good evening. Thank you very much, Bernard, for that very warm welcome.
And I also want to say to Grand Chief Tremblay to thank him for that rich and warm welcome, #1 hit, and doing it on date night. So I think that's pretty special.
I'd like to thank the National Gallery of Canada to be with us tonight. I'd like to take this opportunity to say hello to the members of your board of directors who are here with us this evening of the Beaver Brook Art Gallery.
And I have to say on behalf of our board, what a gorgeous gallery and gorgeous collection you have here. It was an absolute delight to be toured around it yesterday with Bernard, your dynamic leader.
To the members, donors, partners, and art lovers who are with us in person and online, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your interest in your gallery, the National Gallery of Canada.
L'autre musée, le Musée des Beaux-Arts du Canada. I'd like to acknowledge that New Brunswick is home to 3 Indigenous nations, the Mi'kmaq, the Wolastoqey, and the Pescodonmakatiak. I practiced that. It'll roll off better later. Thank you very much for that. These nations have inhabited these lands for thousands of years.
We are grateful to the Indigenous peoples who are the traditional custodians of the land, and we respect their enduring relationship with their traditional territories.
Qui les unit à leur territoire traditionnel.
First of all, I'd like to say that it's a real joy and a privilege to be here with you in Canada's officially bilingual province, with Acadians, Anglophones, Francophones, Indigenous peoples, and people of diverse origins.
Thank you so much for the incredibly warm welcome that you have shown us. Here in New Brunswick, as in the rest of Canada, we recognize we're living in existential times due to the dynamics between our country and our neighbors to the south, alongside truly unprecedented global challenges. These dynamics have led really to an upsurge in Canadian pride and a fierce determination to step up, get our own house in order, and rebuild vital relationships. And let me say that Canadian art, artists, and museums have a major role to play in affirming who we are, in reflecting our shared values, and in punctuating where we are headed. And Canadian talent truly resonates abroad. I think of some of the greats, like Fredericton's Mary Carr, Alex Colville from neighboring province in Sackville, Jean-Paul Riopel, and Emily Carr, but contemporary artists too, such as Ed Bertinsky, Kapwani Kawanga, and Jeff Wall, who are also well known internationally. Furthermore, as we renew relationships abroad and create necessary new alliances, let's not underestimate the role that cultural diplomacy can play and should play in fostering understanding and deepening relationships. I believe Prime Minister Carney has clearly acknowledged some of these ideas with his innovative Canada Strong Pass, free admission for under 18 and reduced admission for under 24 age group. Due to the pass, this summer, we saw a 40% increase in gallery attendance for visitors under 24 compared to the same period last year. So it's working. The Prime Minister, by the way, is deeply interested and well-versed in Canadian and international art. His depth of understanding and recognition will, I believe, be very helpful to us all moving forward. And I just want to mention his first week on the job, elected on Monday, his first day off is Saturday. He wanted to tour the National Gallery with Madame Carney. So it was quite an exciting moment for all of us. C'est donc pour moi.
It's therefore for me a great honor to be chairing a board of trustees made up of such exceptional members.
With me today are fellow trustees Roshi Chada, Manny Blair, Susan Cote Freeman, Philomena Frisina, Adad Hanna, Julie Jai, Claire Kennedy, Harold Robinson, Francois Roy, remotely with us today, did his best to get a flight, but President Trump's visit to the tennis tournament yesterday got in the way of that. Sarah Stasiak as well. I sincerely thank former trustee Dominique Hamel, who recently completed her term, for her dedicated work over 7 years.
We would also like to thank the Honorable Stephen Guilbeault, Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture, and Isabelle Mondou, Deputy Minister of Canadian Heritage, for the great interest they have shown in our national museums. We are fortunate to be led by people of this caliber.
Les gens de cette trempe.
We are working closely with the government on our long-term financial sustainability plan.
Financière à long terme.
We have a duty to properly manage the gallery's superb collection, to share it with other institutions, to participate in meaningful exhibitions, to make new acquisitions, and to promote artists. I would like to emphasize the board's gratitude to the gallery's unparalleled team, led by Jean-François Belle-Isle, who was an exceptional director and CEO. Mr. Belle-Isle is the captain we need at the helm in these challenging and promising times.
À la fois de défis et prometteurs. From the bottom of my heart, I also want to thank the teams that work at the gallery in curatorial services, conservation, visitor experience, education and community engagement, Indigenous ways and decolonization, communications, digital services, operations, and more. They truly bring their best selves to their work every day, and they're the reason we shine and we thrive. Finally, deep thanks to Lisa Turcott, Anne Bowman, and the National Gallery of Canada Foundation. Their financial support and stewardship of our loyal patrons make an immense difference to our work. Well, what is it to be Canada's National Museum? We have, first of all, the enormous privilege of building on the gallery's proud history. Indeed, in 2030, we're celebrating our 150th anniversary, a huge milestone. As we look to that 150th, I'm pleased to tell you we're working closely with the gallery team on a new 5-year strategic plan to define our way forward. Within this plan, national engagement is our top priority. What does that
mean? We really want to be able to reach Canadians directly in their communities. That's why we hold our annual public meeting in a hybrid format in different cities across the country. Last year, we were in Whitehorse in Yukon, where we met artists and visited the centers they run. And today, we're delighted to be meeting in Fredericton. Next year,
Yukon, où nous avons rencontré des artistes et visité des centres qu'ils dirigent. Nous sommes aujourd'hui ravis de nous réunir à Fredericton. L'année prochaine, nous serons en Alberta. We are committed to creating a shared sense of belonging to the National Gallery. Our engagement projects include commissioning outdoor works of art in other provinces and territories, alongside traveling exhibitions, loans, and co-acquisitions. It includes learning and community engagement programming, both in person and online. Last year, our online programming saw a over 100% increase in participation from the year before and reached communities in every province and territory.
Being a national gallery also means being inclusive, representing diversity and reflecting these realities to our fellow citizens. It's about recognizing the truth within our history and moving forward with new ways of doing things.
D'aller de l'avant avec de nouvelles façons. We remain deeply committed to walking the path together on reconciliation with Indigenous peoples and taking ongoing concrete steps that reflect that commitment, including strengthening our staff and co-creating relevant exhibitions. In the past year, the gallery explored the contributions of tremendous Indigenous artists through exhibitions such as Shelley Nero, 500-Year Itch. It was the first retrospective exhibition of this great Mohawk artist. We also had wonderful shows by Nadia Mir and Skawanati. We're also underlining and emphasizing our commitment to historical and modern art, the great works in our collection, through such tremendous shows as Gathered Leaves, Discoveries from Our Drawings Vault, and the upcoming Winter Count, Embracing the Cold. Art truly has the power to bring us together in this unprecedented era. Your gallery will strive to play a critical role by connecting Canadians through transformative art experiences and through our partnerships, including loaning from our collection, which we're very proud to have a small part of a River of Dreams just next door, this fabulous exhibition.
I am convinced that together we can ensure that our approach to visual arts reflects and brings together all the communities that make up our country, including those here in New Brunswick.
Qui se trouve ici au Nouveau-Brunswick. Thank you again so much for joining us this afternoon, and we're absolutely thrilled by how many of your artists have come out to events we had on Saturday night and even more today, and we're very excited by this upcoming panel.
Thank you, Miigwech Walalin. Bernard, my Acadian friend, I'd like to turn the floor over to you.
Merci beaucoup. Oh, pardon. Merci beaucoup. Oh, pardon. Merci beaucoup, Paul. Before we proceed, could I ask all members of the board of the National Gallery to stand for a round of local applause? Thank you. We're deeply honored to have you all here.
And now it is my pleasure and honor to introduce the Director and Chief Executive Officer of the National Gallery of Canada, Jean-François Bellil. It's been a busy 2 years since Jean-François has been at the helm of the National Gallery of Canada. Since then, he has been working hard to ensure that the National Gallery of Canada continues to be a national gallery of which all Canadians from coast to coast to coast can be proud, and one that represents us all with pride on the international stage.
Et qui nous représente tous avec fierté sur la scène internationale.
Before joining the museum, he was executive director and chief curator of the Musée d'Art de Joliette. He also held senior positions in the visual arts in several countries. I now invite Jean-François to come to the microphone.
Merci beaucoup. Est-ce que ça fonctionne? Is it working? Test, test. Otherwise, I'll take this one.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bernard.
Très apprécié. Grand Chief Tremblay, thank you so much, though you have left.
It's a real pleasure for me to be with you. As my colleague mentioned, we were in Whitehorse last year, and it's such a joy to be in Fredericton. And every time that I come here, it's a real pleasure to be here with people from Fredericton, to be in the region, and to be here in the wonderful, magnificent Beaverbrook Art Gallery.
The Beaverbrook. The Beaverbrook Gallery is an invaluable partner towards ensuring that our collection, the national collection, and art around the country is accessible to all Canadians. There are two things that I want to announce today that haven't been shared before, but I'm really happy to say that in 2026, we will be producing the Governor General's Award of Canada at the Beaverbrook Gallery with the Beaverbrook Gallery, which is... And thrilled to announce that we are also...
Currently, we are in the process of acquiring an exceptional artwork from an artist from the region. And I'm thinking of Mathieu Léger's sculpture that was part of the Sobe Art Awards this year.
The Sobe Art Award is of course, a huge partner of ours and a steadfast contributor to bringing Canadian art to different parts of the country and to Ottawa and to the National Gallery every year. It's a real pleasure to work with them.
Thank you. Thank you to our president and our esteemed board of directors. I'm proud to continue working with you to support and promote Canadian artists. Soon, In the coming days, we will be launching our next annual report, which is titled Beyond the Frame. Beyond the Frame is our mentality. It's our philosophy. It also means that we have to reach beyond our physical walls, beyond Ottawa, and to connect with Canadians wherever they live. And here I'm talking about either from Whitehorse to Fredericton. I think it's really important for us to go beyond our physical structure. That's the first question that I asked myself when I came here to Canada, to Ottawa.
C'est la première question que je me suis posée, c'est how can we make a national gallery truly national? And it is, I think, partly by coming out of our walls. In 24-25, which is a year that we're ending today, we welcomed a total of 769,000 visitors to our exhibitions and projects in Ottawa, of course, but also in multiple communities across the country and internationally. This community that we're slowly building, hundreds of thousands of people at a time, is partly built by the learning and community engagement. So I want to thank the teams and congratulate them on organizing online programs last year that reached 78,000 people from coast to coast to coast.
So exhibitions that we hope will be part of Canada's art fabric. Joan Mi Young's Honoring a Long View, monumental reflection on personal, social, and political history on our south facade, and it will be there until 2026. I'm also thinking about Gathered Leaves. Drawings from the museum's collection, the gallery's collection, presented in Ottawa and now on show at the O10 Gallery in BC. At the end of the year, it will be shown in Newfoundland, not very far, just one boat away. It's the drawings collection of the gallery is exceptional, dates back more than 100 years and includes treasures.
La collection de dessins du musée est vraiment exceptionnelle, date d'il y a plus de 100 ans et a des trésors insoupçonnés qui sont inclus dans cette exposition.
The gallery's collection, and we said so earlier,
is a fantastic collection that has been built over 145 years, almost 150 now. It is Canada's collection living in Canada's gallery, your collection.
Over the last year, we've taken important steps to broaden the reach of the NGC. We have set up a new department, the National Outreach Department, which plays a fundamental role in the gallery's development. And it is to realize large-scale projects everywhere in the country except Ottawa. So the department came to New Brunswick and will come back very soon, I think in 2 weeks. So further developments with that new department. All of these projects outside Ottawa are projects that we want to create collaboratively. And we hope that with the Beaverbrook, with other cultural institutions, community institutions, educational institutions, we can imagine a common future, a joint future in your community where you will give us the chance of being welcome. In that context,
Dans ce contexte-là, in that context, we have created a few projects over the past year. One important one is the long-term installation and loan of a National Gallery collection piece, Iowa Ways Forever Bicycle, that is installed in Winnipeg, that was developed with the Forks and the Canadian Museum of Human Rights. We also recently co-acquired and co-presented a work by Joan Jonas, infamous New York artist, called Moving Off the Land 2, that is presently being displayed in 2 locations in Cape Breton, in Sydney and Inverness. And it was co-acquired with the Art Gallery of Nova Scotia.
In 2024-2025, we've added 334 works to the collection, worth approximately $21 million in acquisitions and donations. The collection development strategy continues to be based on partnerships, as is the case today. We also acquired works, the assistance of the Vancouver Art Gallery and the Modern. In the works that were added to the collection, I'd like to mention Dwayne Linklater, June Leaf, Robert S. Duncanson, Elisabeth Louise Vigée-Lebrun, and Paul-Émile Bordura that you saw on the screen a little bit earlier. There were lots of donations as well. Last June, we announced a huge donation in Vancouver from Bob Rennie, a donation of $22.8 million.
Merci et salué, d'une valeur totale de 22,8 millions de dollars. Extremely grateful for Bob Rennie and the Rennie Foundation for this incredible gesture of support for the National Collection.
Celebrating excellence in contemporary art is done in part through our partnership with the Sobey Arts Foundation. In 2024, the Sobey Art Award was presented to the artist Nico Williams. We also modified that award to add a sixth region to the award, a sixth regional category, the circumpolar category, which strengthens the representation of the North. The winner for 2025 will be announced on November 8. So very soon.
L'artiste gagnant va être annoncé le 8 novembre, donc incessamment. One of our responsibilities is also to represent Canada internationally, and we did so last fiscal with the presentation of Kapwani Kiwanga's piece called Trinket at the Venice Biennale. It was visited by close to 450,000 visitors during its 4 or 5 months run, and it was an incredible piece that we acquired and will be coming back to Canada and showed to Canadians as soon as possible. Also pleased to announce, if you haven't seen it, that the official representation of Canada at the Venice Biennale in 2026 will be done by Abbas Akavan, and we're in the midst of producing the art that will go in the Canadian Pavilion. It will be an extremely, extremely, extremely exciting project for which I have sworn that I would not say anything about. So you have to go to Venice. Or wait until we hopefully successfully bring it back to travel the country.
These national and international developments are based on solid institutional structure, on a team that is amazing, a board of directors, a board of trustees that is extraordinary, on volunteers that help us grow. Now that the pandemic is over, we are delighted to report that revenues from our activities in the last financial year exceeded forecast by 19%. Also, the visitor satisfaction was 95% overall for 24-25.
All of this is because of the team of the National Gallery, the hundreds of people that work tirelessly to bring the gallery to life every day. I want to thank them. And I want to thank the National Gallery of Canada Foundation and donors that supply us with the lifeblood of this work. I also want to thank the Government of Canada, which is extremely important to everything we do, and that has been a steadfast supporter of the National Gallery. To our partners, colleagues across the country, thank you. Thank you for collaborations. Thank you for your openness. Thank you for your honesty. You mean everything to us. And to the artists, without you, none of this would exist. We would not be here. The National Gallery would not exist. Thank you for all the work that you do and everything that you bring to our lives. Paul referred to this briefly during his speech, but in these turbulent times, I think art is an amazing bridge, an amazing tool to bring Canada together and to share experiences and thoughts that are extremely important to the National Gallery, but to the whole country, I believe.
Looking ahead to 25-26, we will be presenting exhibits from Nadia Mir and Skawinati, and also a retrospective of the career of PI pioneer and artist Erica Rutherford. In November, we will be presenting Winter Count, extremely important. Winter Count, Embracing the Cold, a transatlantic exhibition devoted to how Northern societies and artists have long communicated on the theme of winter. It is an exhibition that will bring us to reflect on works that talk about our reality of the North and how it shaped us as a country.
Et de comment cette réalité nordique nous a façonnés en tant que pays. As Paul mentioned, we're also shaping our next strategic plan, which will guide us through our 150th anniversary in 2030. And that strategic plan is guided by a handful of questions. How do we deepen connections with Canadians beyond Ottawa? How do we make those connections sustainable? What role can we play in shaping inclusive national narratives? How can we fully inhabit the digital sphere from coast to coast to coast and beyond, and yet without losing the intimacy and the materiality of art? I firmly believe that the success of this endeavor depends on listening carefully and leading collaboratively. We are the sum of our relationships with artists, with communities, with institutions, with you, with the past, with the present, with the future. Many thanks to the Beaverbrook Art Gallery staff for making us feel very welcome. And you keep making people stand up. Can I ask the board members of the Beaverbrook to stand up to thank them? Are they around or no? There is one representative. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone in person, online, for being here, for your interest. We look forward to hearing from you in Ottawa or elsewhere in Canada. Thank you very much. It's all yours, Bernard.
À toi, Bernard.
Merci énormément, Jean-François. Écoutez, on est très fiers de la coacquisition que vous venez d'annoncer. Et juste une dernière personne à s'identifier. Est-ce que Mathieu Légère, pourriez-vous vous identifier ici? Mathieu est dans le fond là. This is on behalf of the Beaverbrook. I can't tell you how proud we are to go into our first co-acquisition with the National Gallery of Canada. This is a critical program for the entire country, one that enables institutions like ours to advance the careers, to support advancing the careers of artists, particularly from our own regions. We're very grateful to you, JF, for the opportunity to make this acquisition together, and I know that we're going into our panel, but can I ask everyone to give Mathieu Légère a round of applause, please? Ladies and gentlemen, as we have heard, a top priority of the National Gallery of Canada is to build bridges across the country as part of its mission to go beyond its own walls. The NGC is reflecting on what else it can do to make an impact, not only on people visiting its gallery in Ottawa, but across Canada and in all of the regions.
The NGC team thinks that as a national gallery, it can accomplish a lot to develop and promote local artists from coast to coast in rural areas, in the circumpolar area, and in the urban areas. Today's discussion will focus on how to bring visual arts and artists together at the national level. What are the strategies that we need to develop and promote the artistic impression in our region and elsewhere?
To discuss this important question, I would now like to welcome our panel.
An Acadian by birth, Mario Doucet. Unfortunately, the sound is cutting in and out, says the interpreter. I will do my best. So he's a painter, but also works in the field of video art, digital animation, performance, and Super 8 films. He has participated in numerous exhibitions, including at the the Royal Museum in Toronto, where he was a finalist. Mario is currently working on a new series of paintings, prints, and sculptures entitled Arias, which will first be presented at the Beaverbrook in 2028. Emma Hasenkal-Purley.
Emma Hashendale-Purley. Emma is a Wolastoqey visual artist, curator, and arts writer from Nicotcook, Tobique First Nation in New Brunswick. Emma's practice centers on Indigenous art with a specific focus on Wabanaki artists, Indigenous women, and two-spirited artists. Her work has been exhibited nationally and internationally at venues like the Winnipeg Art Gallery and SOFA Chicago, In addition to her art practice, I am extremely happy to let you know that Emma serves as the curator of Indigenous art at the Beaverbrook and will be the lead curator for this institution in our upcoming presentation of the Governor General Arts Awards in partnership with the National Gallery of Canada. Anna Torma. So first of all, Anna Torma is a legend. Anna Torma was the winner of the prestigious 2020 Governor General's Award in Visual and Media Arts, the Sadie Bronfman Award. She is a member of the Royal Academy of Arts. For over 40 years, Anna has exhibited her work in Canada and internationally and is represented in public and private collections around the world. Born in Tarnaj, Hungary, she immigrated to Canada in 1988 and now lives in Bévert, New Brunswick. Welcome, everyone, and let's begin our chat. Okay. Okay, so the seating order doesn't match the panelist order, but I hope that it's clear for everyone who's who. I say that for people who are watching online as well. You can never take that for granted. So we'll discuss today's topic with 3 questions. So here's the first. The way we'll start the questions, I'll begin by asking Emma to lead on the first question, Anna to lead on the second question, and Mario on the third, and the conversation will happen between those. So, question number 1. How can New Brunswick stories be further integrated into national cultural conversations, including underrepresented artistic voices? Emma.
I think from a curatorial standpoint, through exhibitions and touring partnerships seems to be the obvious answer, or the answer off the top of my head. You've mentioned Radical Stitch earlier, and we were so pleased to welcome Radical Stitch to our institution last year, and the impact that has had on local artists, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, has been so important and galvanizing, I think. I don't usually speak from a business standpoint, but I think that the next generation of artists that are working and inspired by an exhibition like Radical Stitch will be very impactful, and it would be great to invest in them early, because I think the payoff is going to be really amazing. I'm already starting to see work inspired by that exhibition in particular, and the path that artists are taking beadwork down is very interesting to me. And I think also in terms of exhibitions of Indigenous artists, specifically Wabanaki artists who are from this region, centralizing their voices in grand exhibitions on national conversations around Indigenous contemporary art as well, not specifically in categories of the region, but inclusive and integrated into the entire conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anna?
Yeah, so to the first questions, yeah, I am the daughter of the Hungarian farmers, and when I came to Canada, it was really interesting to see such a landscape which is really different from my own country, and I needed to establish my vision again. What can I thinking about the horticulture, nature, and even art, because I am not just a farmer's daughter, but I was the first who graduated from art school and came here and I think I am a new immigrant here, and I'm still learning the land and still learning the culture. And I really want to be a very good participant and contribute as many things as possible, because I learned the Canadian landscape, the cultural landscape is a patchwork. You know, it's very familiar to my medium, and as I see, this medium is really a pivotal role in many people's life, and can be elevated to the pedestal of grand art. And I am really a fighter and advocate to happen that, and these big institutions like the National Gallery of Canada, the Beaverbrook locally, because I am New Brunswicker now, but all others are embracing this movement, and the confluences of the grand art previously saw, and object making has a place now in our life, and it's really fantastic, and we really need to work harder to happen even more, because it will be so much more people friendly and making oriented, and so the human creativity come speak through art, and we can be workers of that, in my belief.
Thank you, Anna. Mario?
Yeah, I agree with my colleagues. I agree that it really takes a team effort, and for me, it takes champions, people who are willing to be passionate about our artists here in New Brunswick, and to further the story along on a national level. I'll give you an example, Bernard, and I might put you a bit on the spot after my example. Last fall, I was in Charlottetown. I went to go see the gallery at the Confederation Center. And what blew me away was Erica Rutherford's work. It was a retrospective of her work, and I thought this work was so strong. Her biography was amazing, and it was all put together by the curator there, Pan Wenth. And in that space, in that gallery, I thought this has to be shown nationwide. It can't just be shown in Prince Edward Island. It has to be at the National Gallery. And in fact, it is now at the National Gallery. But I can imagine that took, Erica had some champions in Pan Wenth and Prince Edward Island. She had champions at the staff at the gallery to make that happen. So to put you on the spot, Bernard, we're here in the provinces of New Brunswick, major institution. I think you would have the resources to be champions of New Brunswick artists. And so is it possible for us to have a production of an ambitious exhibition project of a New Brunswick artist, or New Brunswick artists, plural, and to have it travel and to have Canada know about our artists here?
Yeah.
Are you looking for an answer from me right now on that? Because the answer is yes, it is possible. And
I knew under pressure you'd say yes. Thank you.
that's kind of why I took this job. So. Okay, thank you. And question number 2, we'll ask Anna to start. Anna, how can New Brunswick Arts Centres connect and build lasting relationships with national institutions or institutions in major urban centres across the country?
I was very happy to hear Jean-Francois' speech because it's already contained very many of my thoughts, because I believe big exhibitions need to co-produce because the financial sources are not endless. It's very, very determined, and we really need to put together all resources to make those exhibitions which are really shine out. And that's one way, is to co-produce exhibitions, and I already heard that the effort to make that, or we invite the National Gallery here, not just we want to go to Ottawa and see exhibitions there, but really it's a vice versa connections, and it's this province produce so many stories, so many talented creatives, and it's need to be seen even if the exhibition is here. And probably this goes to the last question, sorry about that, but we need to learn how to go online with one exhibitions. My example at the Textile Museum of Canada, when it hit the COVID, when at the opening day, closed everything, and I never ever see my major exhibition up to date, and it's went online everything, and at the audience and me, I had some sense, what is the major exhibition in Toronto because of the online thing. So it's need to make an effort to register those kind of very important exhibitions online or in the media.
Great. Thank you, Anna. Mario?
It's a very complicated question to answer, because I think if I'm that perspective of an Acadian artist, I can only speak from that perspective about the ecosystem here in our province. There are things that Acadians, culture-wise, that we do very well, and we still are doing very well. I'm thinking about in education. It's amazing to me that Acadian modern art only exists for the last 60 years. So we're fairly new to the game, as we say. We don't have a long history with art history. And it all started with Claude Roussel, which passed away last May. Claude Roussel in 1963 taught the first Acadian students in their language in their own region. So before that, people had to move to Quebec or other areas. And since then, Acadian art history developed. We have a very strong artist-run centers. We have 3 that are considered to be Acadian. Most artists, when they graduate from school, they gravitate towards the artist-run centers. They have their first professional exhibitions. They also are employed as cultural workers. All of that so far is true in my case. But there's missing pieces from that puzzle. We don't have a well-developed private sector. The art market is almost non-existent in our society. There has been some progress, but the gallerists here don't have the resources necessary to attend the Toronto Art Fair, for instance, which leaves us at a disadvantage because Acadian artists are not in the major public collections. Mostly. It's Mathieu Desjardins, thank you. You are now part of the public collection, but hopefully you won't be the last one. There'll be future artists that will be part of the collection. And although the major private collections as well, you don't find many Acadian artists part of those collections. Critical discourse. Not many curators focus on Acadian artists, which means not many Acadian artists have solo exhibitions with a publication. I can count on my 2 hands, on my fingers, how many artists have monographs published on their work. In 60 years, you would think it'd be more, but that's not the case. And when I spend time on juries, on national competitions, and art prizes, it reflects on those juries, because New Brunswick artists have realistically a very hard time winning competitions. The Sobeys Art Award which I thank. That Sobeys Art Award is one of the reasons why I can make a career today. But I didn't win it. I was a finalist. But I'm very grateful for that. But no New Brunswick artist has won the Sobeys Art Award so far. The Governor General Art Award, Anna Happy is a recipient. Brigitte Clavet, I think, is here. She's a winner as well. And recently, Thaddeus from Sackville is a winner as well. But that's 3 people from the history of the Governor General Art Award. So there's missing pieces to the puzzle that we have to work at. Things have to change before we can maybe talk about lasting impressions on the national scale.
Merci beaucoup,
Yeah.
Mario.
Well,
Et merci d'avoir souligné les contributions de Claude Roussel. Et je voudrais souligner que la fille de M. Roussel est présente parmi nous aujourd'hui, Suzanne Roussel. Et juste, oui, voilà. Bon. Emma.
Hosting national conversations in rural or Atlantic centers is critical. Thank you all for being here today, and also including presenters who are from the region. And I think that is also to say that there are a lot of people missing in the room tonight as well, and that is partially due to being from rural places in the province. And so there's always going to be that disconnect. And I think both of you raised really important points. And if I can reiterate some of them, co-curating exhibitions between Fredericton, for example, and major urban centers is something we'd like to strengthen here at the Beaverbrook. I'm currently working on an exhibition with the Musée des Beaux-Arts de Montreal with Léolie Estragi, Dr. Léolie Estragi, and that will be for a solo exhibition of Hannah Claus's work, very prominent Mohawk artist with a thriving career and multidisciplinary. So I think it's in due time that she has a major solo exhibition, not only a solo exhibition, but a substantial catalog as well, because that's how our work as artists lives on beyond the exhibition. And I think to your point about the art market, there is, sorry, if I can back up a little bit, when I travel across Canada, I think there is an idea that all of the Indigenous folks of this region are Mi'kmaq. And I don't know all of the names of every single Indigenous nation across Canada, but I can tell you that there are more than Mi'kmaq folks living in this territory. So you are on Wolastoqey territory now here in Fredericton, and we share the province with Mi'kmaq and Beskunmudgadi or Passamaquoddy. But from Lower Quebec to New England, you also have Abenaki and Penobscot. And so those 5 nations comprise the Wabanaki Confederacy, and those are the artists that I work for, among other nations, of course. And I think that there is that factors into the lack of visibility for those artists too. And that might mean working with curators of this region who have those relationships, because we can pinpoint these artists who don't necessarily have gallery representation here, because it's not as strong as larger centers. And yeah, I've also been thinking about that a lot. And so there are pieces missing in the system over here in this way.
Thank you, Emma. That's very, very thoughtful. For the last question for today's panel, you've given us already so much to think about. This is sort of a summary question with, to take in all of your thoughts and considerations in preparing for today's panel.
We'll start with Mario Doucette. Mario, the question is, how can New Brunswick artists be more widely recognized nationally? And how important is the digital sphere in achieving this goal? I think the answer is networking. That's the most important aspect because it's unique for artists to meet other artists, gallery operators, and people who work in museums. In my world, what's the most important is time, creation time. You mentioned that I have an exhibition on show. I've been working on that show for months and months. So the most crucial thing for me is time that I spend in the studio. And it's solitary work, very solitary. And it's really a privilege to be able to work like that long term. I know that Anna's work is also very
And
complex
Emma, I've seen
and
your work
very
as well.
time
I know
consuming.
that your work takes a lot of time and an effort, that you need time in the studio. Mais le contraire, c'est il y a petites choses, il faut faire comme travailleur autonome, il faut faire la comptabilité, il
As
faut faire la fiscalité, il
independent
faut
workers, we
préparer des
also have to do a
propositions de
lot
gazier
more,
ou de bourse,
prepare
il faut
proposals, do our
faire le
accounting, do
réseautage,
our
il faut être
bookkeeping,
ici sur le panel.
network, sit here on
Alors tout
panels.
ça, ça devient
All of
compliqué
that
quand t'as une
complicates our
production
life
dans le
because
studio.
when you're
Alors
preparing
vraiment, le
an
luxe pour
exhibit
les
in a
artistes, c'est
studio,
vraiment le
it's
temps de
hard.
studio.
Really, the
C'est ça qui est le
luxury
plus
for an
important.
artist is studio time.
La
That
sphère
is the most
numérique,
important element.
euh,
The
je pense que
digital
c'est
field,
avant les médias sociaux, peut-être qu'on connaissait
social
moins.
media,
Qu'est-ce qui se
before
passait
social
ici?
media, we
Maintenant, tous les
didn't
artistes ont un compte Instagram.
know
Pour la
as
plupart, tous
much
les artistes ont
about
Instagram.
artists
Alors, ça rend
and
les
their
choses plus
work. Now
accessibles.
every artist has a media account, every artist has a website. It makes art accessible.
Merci.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Merci. Emma, I'll quickly translate the question as well. How can New Brunswick-based artists be more widely recognized and connected on the national scale? And what is the importance of the digital sphere in this objective?
I know you might have mentioned this before, but public online archives, I think, would serve artists well. It is complicated because I think there are variations of that happening online. And as Mario said, a lot of artists are using social media. They have to. It's a vital aspect of their job and the way that the world works now. And I'm not sure what the solution is to increase the visibility of Atlantic-based artists in the social sphere, but I know that dedicated posts, reshares of their work are simple things that I think other institutions can be doing. Also, print publication as well, if I can go back to print publication and including works of Indigenous-based artists in major publications, catalogs, and magazines, art magazines. The one that comes to mind is First Art magazine, and it's based in the US, but featuring the work of underrepresented voices in larger platforms is a paramount to small places like this one. And that might entail hiring Indigenous art writers on behalf of your institution to then write about the work or anybody really.
Thank you. Anna, you have the final word on this question.
I think these cultural institutions or museums are full with very capable workers. Then they need to serve as a advocates or somehow reference point to artists, because many people has no other references, just their exhibition lists, and if you are able to access to one of the better places in your professional life, then it can take you to the map. And you can refer for that. See, I exhibited at the Beaverbrook Gallery, and your name will be more marketable, because it goes down to income, and this bunch of artists here is the less paid workers in the whole entire province. Let's see that. Let's face that very sour reality. And if we can help somehow on that, let's help to establish cultural workers or artists, or let's make them happen to the art fairs somehow in some, some network. I have no tool and no idea how can we do that, because as Mario well said, we are occupied in studio time and we treasure that really, and that's why we are here when we standing now, because we killing our times in the studio and producing art in a high level, but really can use some help from the institutions to get ourselves to the market or make us a good reference point through public exhibitions or showings or working with good curators, and size our dreams in a large level or resize our dreams for the smaller level, whatever it's need to do. So
Thank you so much, Anna. I'm now going to, well, first of all, thank all of our panelists. I'm going to ask you to remain seated, though. So if I can ask Emma, Anna, and Mario to stand one last time for a round of applause.
Et si vous permettez maintenant, si
And
je
if
peux
I
demander à
may, now I would ask
Jean-François,
Jean-François, after listening to our panelists, to share his thoughts on how the NGC can continue to work with New Brunswick visual artists and from all other regions.
Oh, I need to turn this one on. That's what is not working. I forgot to turn on my button. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now it's working. First, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this moment with all of us. It was extremely meaningful. I've made a whole shopping list of ideas. So I will be taking this back to Ottawa and to the teams to enact it. But I think what I heard the loudest was the human connection between different actors of the milieu, between artists and curators, between artists and the market, and between the museum directors, fostering those human connections and understanding where there are missing parts and working on these missing parts, I think is really, really important. And that's something that I truly, truly believe in. I think our communities and our world is built of only that, human connections and interactions between humans. And that's something that we try to foster in everything that we do at the gallery. And human connections across nations, across boundaries, across provinces is that much harder to do, but that much more meaningful in exporting and importing art productions across the country. And in that sense, there's something that we do that we launched last year that we're going to do this year again, is at the Art Toronto, the art fair on the Friday morning. We organize a breakfast for curators from across the country so that they can show up and share their wealth of knowledge and interests from their each individual regions. And that's something that you touched on as well, in the sense of having champions. And I think you have a fantastic champion in the person of Bernard, and you have a new champion in my person now, in bringing your art practice and your amazing institutional knowledge and skills to the rest of the country. So humans, connections, and using those humans and those connections to do things, co-produce, co-acquire, co-tour, which is something that I really believe is extremely needed in today's world. That we are under financial constraints everywhere. For us at the National Gallery, you here at the Beaverbrook, I'm sure, in Yukon, in Toronto, in Edmonton, in Calgary, in Saskatoon, in Vancouver, in Victoria, it's the same thing everywhere. But we can be multipliers each institution can multiply the other institution the same way that each artist can multiply each artist and each champion can multiply a region. And that's something that I also firmly believe in, that we firmly believe in at the National Gallery, and that we will be working on. I hear you loud and clear, and firmly believe as well in leaving traces, so that an exhibition that lasts 3 months exists beyond those 3 months, be it online, on social media, on publications. Ultimately, I think the aim of all of our institutions, and I suspect the aim of the artists as well, is to share. Is to share productions, is to share thoughts, is to share dreams, to go back to the Grand Chief's words. And I think the National Gallery can do that better with other institutions than on its own in Ottawa. And then, I mean, my list is long, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but this is really, really meaningful. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much for all that and for sharing, continuing to share your experience and knowledge with us so that we can keep working together and closer together. Thank you very much, Jean-François. And thank you for focusing on the specifics of our region as represented by these three artists. I would call on Mr. Genet now to come up to the podium.
We are now turning things over to the audience, to all of you, and to everyone online for your questions. For those of you who have made it to Queen Street in Fredericton, New Brunswick, 703, the Beaverbrook Art Gallery, there are microphones set up on either side of the room. But if you are joining us online, you have the opportunity to direct your questions to Mr. Genet, Mr. Bellil, Madame Torma, Ms. Hashendale-Purley, and Mr. Doucet. Oh, I should also say, I would ask you to identify yourself before you ask your question and encourage everyone to keep their questions short and concise to help ensure that as many voices as possible can be heard today. I'd also remind everyone to be kind and respectful. For any on-site media after the fact, there will be opportunities to interview Paul and Jean-François after the event ends. So we would ask that you hold your questions until then and save this time for members of the public.
Thank you. Oops. It's on. Oh, okay. Can you hear me all right now? Okay, super. I very much would like to hear more ideas on how to make these treasures that we all have, that we all know, most of us take for granted, accessible to young people, even more accessible. I haven't heard much discussion of that tonight, and I would like to hear some rich ideas on how we can spread the word with our young people.
Thank you so much for that question. I think I'll start by directing it to JF.
And to yourself as well. I would love to hear your input. But education and learning and community engagement is extremely important at the National Gallery. It's a driving force behind everything that we do. We're fortunate to have dedicated educators and thinkers to build these programs, both in the gallery and online. But I think we need to do more. And we need to, so we curate educational programs for each exhibition, for the permanent collection. We curate programs for at the national engagement and outreach level, trying to either online or in person, try to reach more and more communities across the country. Last year, our online programs actually touched people in every single province and territory. But I think there's a question of volumes as well. There are millions of kids and younger people that need to connect with art. Sometimes the constraints are financial. School buses are now extremely expensive. It's become complicated to bring schools to galleries. So we're trying to do our part and find ways around that. and we're trying to build engaging programs. But where I join you and I'm open for new ideas and thinking about it is how can we increase volumes? Our content is phenomenal. The artistic content is phenomenal. How do we bring it to more people? And how do we find solutions for these hurdles that lay along the way? And there are hurdles, but so helping with transportation is one, building programs that speaks to different age groups and different communities, different regions, different cultural contexts is extremely important as well. And listening as we build these programs, listening to the schools, the teachers, the kids themselves and what they want to know and what they want to hear so that they don't, I'm not a big believer in school groups or young groups coming to any gallery and being told, don't talk, don't walk, don't breathe, don't think, just absorb whatever the words we will pronounce over the next hour. And so we don't do that, which I think is important. Any thoughts on your side?
Well, I would just add that institutions and their leadership need to be very ambitious. We need to be ambitious in our fundraising. We need to be ambitious in the way that we approach schools and school boards to maximize the number. By the way, I'd just like to introduce Diane. Diane is a lifelong educator, the lady who asked the question. I couldn't see through the light there, and has been a volunteer with this institution and given many years of service to the young people of New Brunswick. I would go directly to those targeted goals and metrics to maximize exposure and just be as ambitious as we can be, setting goals every year to increase numbers and make it part of our overall annual goals and objectives.
And it is definitely part of our KPIs and the metrics that we work on. I think it's important. You're right. Unless you measure it, you don't know if it works. And
exactly. And I think Mr. Genet has some thoughts on this as well.
Thanks very much for a great question. And just a quick comment. I mentioned in my speech the Government of Canada introducing this summer the Canada Strong Pass, which has had a great impact for our gallery. A great idea. Everyone under 18 for free, under 24 half price. I'm hopeful that they'll continue that because it really did something. One of the things I say that's sort of simple is let's find ways to make it fun too. And I want to salute Jean-Francois and the team at the National Gallery, where we have free Thursday nights from 5 p.m. till 9 p.m. And they have a DJ. They also have a bar. That's not for everybody, but they have, or young people. But they also have arts and crafts that are there. So it's really well attended. I mean, over 1,000 people come to these events, and I need to acknowledge as well that in that case there's a corporate sponsorship. Bank of Montreal, BMO, has generously sponsored those evenings, so that's a big help too. So funders can make a difference, but let's make it fun, let's make it easy. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Genet. Are there any other questions from the floor? Please.
Hi, Mary McKenna, Fredericton, a member of National Art Gallery and the Fredericton, the Beaverbrook. You mentioned, Monsieur Genet, about the times in which we live, and I was really impressed with that. And I hear a lot about tariffs, and I hear a lot about interprovincial trade, but tonight was the first time I heard about art. And so maybe I'm missing it, but to me, it hasn't reached the level of kind of general conversation. So I would be happy if people could explore that further because we are in unusual times, and it does seem as though it's a great opportunity. So if I wanted, I have a daughter who's an artist, so I'm not buying her art. But if I wanted to be buying, an Instagram and all of that, can we make it easier for people to be doing that, and what role might galleries play in that? Thank you.
Thanks very much for the encouragement on it. I think it's something that Jean-François and I may make a point of for every public occasion. We're part of government as a Crown institution, but we're doing some gentle advocacy around that. And I also made a point of mentioning Canada used to have very strong cultural programs in our embassies, our consul generals. Different eras where there were cuts introduced, those programs fell by the wayside. But I think this is a moment where there's an opportunity to be seeing more of that. And I mentioned some of these, fabulous Canadian artists, very familiar to us. They're household names in foreign capitals as well. And it's such a great way to introduce it. So being an advocate for that, but certainly, the online discussion has to happen. There was discussion of this during the last election campaign, and I'm hopeful to see it continue. We got to do the big things that, the Prime Minister and the Cabinet are talking about doing. But this is a big thing too, and it's very important. And it's not as expensive as a new deep water port. To give us the resources to do national engagement with all of you and in other centres as well. But appreciate the encouragement. We'll carry on.
Do we have any online questions? No? Canadians from coast to coast, now's your chance. Do we have any questions, any further questions from the floor?
I'll bring it up. Raymond Degg. I used to be Deputy Minister of Education years ago. And before that, I was Director of Cultural Affairs in New Brunswick. There's 2 people. And I participated in international bilateral commissions where we would exchange programs, and a lot of it was paid either by the federal government or the foreign governments. And I remember presenting a project. There had been a very solid exhibition by Bruno Wobach in Montreal at Concordia University, and we were trying to sell it internationally. And it fell like a rock. Nobody was interested. And I was a little discouraged. And afterwards, Gilles Lefebvre, who was at the time Director General of Culture at External Affairs, he'd also founded Jeunesse Musicale, he took me aside and he said, if you want your artists to be known, put money into publications. Now, publication has changed a lot since the 70s. There's many ways of doing that. We can't ask artists to do that. They're busy creating. But we've got to find some money to put into broadening. The kids is good, but international, they told me, he said, put money into publishing and then send those books internationally to every embassy. They'll put it on their coffee table where hundreds of people come through, and that's how you will have your artists better known. Otherwise, they don't know who you're talking about. So we've got to find ways of getting out, in this case, of our province to national and international. And there are ways of doing that, and it's not that expensive, but it's important to do. I'm sensitive to what Mario said earlier. I'm too busy. I don't have time to do these things. I'm busy creating. And that's true of all the artists. But there are other people that are not artists that can join in to publish and to make our artists known nationally. And the National Gallery of Canada is a good way to start. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Maybe a word, the very wise words, and I fully agree with you on everything you said. I think the on the export side, this is something that we have been building for 150 years at the gallery. I think a lot of it is a two-way street. If we're out there trying to export and not connect with people in other countries, but just push our artists on, it's going to be a lot harder than if we build two-way streets and meaningful connections. And luckily, because we have been building this network for 150 years, we've made some headway. And it's a rare privilege of mine to know and to respect and to be known of by museum directors on different continents and multiple countries of all sizes. And that's something that it's through the co-projects that we're talking about. I'm hoping that the National Gallery will be able to make more available to other art institutions across the country. And as to the publications, I fully agree with you. They're more and more expensive and complicated to produce, but I think it's important that they remain. I think public institutions such as the National Gallery or the Beaverbrook cannot supplement the market. We cannot do the job of private dealers, but we can play a very important role, which is in making sure that the exhibitions and the projects that we work on have a legacy, have something that stays behind that the artists can use in the sectors where we don't work, such as the market. Thank you for that wonderful.
Yes, I'd like to add something, and I'd like to say that with respect to an institution in a region like this one, we have the responsibility of having expositions that can be shown elsewhere. At the Beaverbrook Gallery, we were very proud of the fact that the National Gallery of Canada could organize its annual public meeting here in New Brunswick. Why? Because it creates a great relationship with our province, our artists, the people who are here in the room and who are with us online and elsewhere in the province. This helps us with respect to our institutional efforts, our efforts to help our artists here to be able to be seen elsewhere in Canada and elsewhere in the world. Though these are the types of activities that go well beyond our border here, not only with the publications and what is being published online, but also it helps our artists be seen elsewhere. I'd like to add something, says Monsieur Bellil, and we're working with the foundation on a number of fronts. What I've noticed is that over the last 20 years, there's a lot of interest for emerging artists, very young artists. What I would like to say that in Canada, an emerging artist is not only an artist that's 22 years old, but rather an artist that's recognized in his or her region, his city, his province, but perhaps has not received any national or international recognition. Therefore, perhaps we shouldn't think about emerging artists as being of a certain age or having a university diploma, for example.
And we have one final question from the floor. Sir, do you mind identifying yourself? And
Julien Chiasson, a simple citizen, simple citoyen. The question, it's about exhibitions. Okay. It will show my ignorance of your working. Would it be possible within 2 or 3 years to organize an exhibition of visual artists from the Passamaquoddy, Wolastoqey, Mi'kmaq nations that would be touring the country, and in exchange we will accept visual artists from the First Nation of the other provinces, so that we have something that goes around the country? Would that be feasible?
is the question is for the Beaverbrook or for?
Yes, because I was starting with the our local First Nations,
Okay.
not the one from Saskatchewan, for example, but from New Brunswick.
So the answer is yes. The curator responsible for that, I will defer to her, and then indicate how institutionally we'll support her ambitions for Indigenous art from this province and this region to shine more brightly in a national context. Emma?
Luckily, I'm working in an institution that encourages me and allows me to dream very big. And so I've already started thinking about what that exhibition you're talking about might look like. And the date I have planned is for 2030. So 5 years from now, because I want it to be very well intentioned, and I want it to be larger than life and give artists the opportunity to refine some of their practice as well and produce more art. The art that is out there is so amazing, and I know it's going to get better and better. So yes, I think that there will be a major exhibition on the books for Wabanaki artists soon.
This is a particularly important, I mean, we are at the NGC AGM, but I will, it's reflective of institutions across the country. We need discourse among the nations and across Canada. I think, and one of the things that I've learned from Emma since I've been here in the last 9 months is that the nations of our particular region really need allies and partners to assert their place in that national discourse, and this institution supports Emma in all of her ambitions in this regard. So, okay. So I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank everyone who participated in this Q&A session. If you submitted a question online that didn't get answered, a reminder that an answer will be published on gallery.ca in the near future. This now concludes the National Gallery of Canada's 2024-2025 annual public meeting. On behalf of the NGC, we are grateful that you took, on behalf of the Beaverbrook, we are grateful that you at the NGC have been here to join us. Personally, I invite you all online to please come to Fredericton and visit us at the Beaverbrook.
We would like to thank all of those who made this meeting possible, the technical team, the simultaneous interpretation team, and the ASL and LSQ interpreters. A video of today's meeting will be posted on the NGC YouTube channel in the coming weeks. For those of you who joined us online, thank you again and goodbye.
Pour ceux qui nous ont rejoints en ligne, merci encore et au revoir. Everyone in the room is now cordially invited to a reception.
Thank you.